So we've got a ton of new Pokemon revealed for Sun and Moon. There are too many to list, but you can check out some of the original reveal trailers and the English version as well, alongside a complete list with detailed descriptions of all the new Pokemon we know about from Alola, a battle gameplay video showing 2 of them in action, and a whole ton of screenshots that show off returning Pokemon in Alola like Pichu, Psyduck, and Zubat, and the return of Pokemon riding from X and Y. After all that, they revealed another new Pokemon called Salandit, I think is pronounced, who is a poison fire type with a new ability that lets it poison both steel type and poison type Pokemon. And finally, or not finally, 2 more Pokemon were revealed by Koro Magazine, a normal fighting panda and a ghost fairy type that dresses up in a ratty old Pikachu costume. And then right before we started recording, a new trailer dropped. So there's some stuff that we saw from that, but I'm not sure if we're going to be as on top of it as we need to be to really talk about it today. We'll see.
Pokemon and Mii's returning. That's the only thing that I got out of it.
Yeah, I think we knew about that before. I'm not sure though.
Yeah.
It'll be censored.
I got
in the Western
also
versions.
there are no new evolutions. It seems you can tell from the trailer too,
Which is a little sad.
Yeah, a little bit, but I don't know. Evolutions never really.
I'm canceling my imaginary pre-order right now.
So, alright, that is a lot to dig into. First off, reactions to all these new designs and stuff. Alex, I know you're with me. Ew.
Yeah, I think Salandit is like the only one that I can tolerate, and maybe that new Ghost Fairy type.
That one, at first, I was like, that was my least favorite of all at first, but I'm kind of warming up to it now.
Poorly drawn Pikachu.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like a second grade drawing come to life.
Well, I think the theme for it is supposed to be it disguises itself as other Pokemon, so kind of like Ditto, but kind of like a worse version of Ditto because the costumes look so terrible.
Well, no, I kind of like that idea if it can actually take, costumes from other Pokemon. If it's just
we know
Pikachu,
it has a special ability called Disguise, which is a new ability, but we don't know what that does. We don't have any info on that yet. So
okay.
Yeah, I bet the Pikachu thing is just kind of the standard artwork, but I don't know if that means we'll see more artwork for more Pokemon.
They did briefly show it wearing the Pikachu costume in the new trailer too, for like a split second. So.
Yeah, saw that. Let's see. Then there's lots more. This normal panda thing. Any specific reactions?
It's funny because when I saw then it was revealed, I was like, oh, that one's kind of looks like a cute but dangerous sort of thing, and then I looked at the description, and apparently it's like this
That's exactly what it is.
Deadly killing machine.
Yeah.
So one thing that I'm enjoying out of all the new Pokemon are the descriptions, though, because they seem even if they're visually uninteresting, the descriptions they're coming up with are really interesting.
It seems like they're putting a lot of thought into these Pokemon. Maybe not necessarily into their designs. I mean, I'm sure they are. This is just our subjective opinions and not really enjoying the designs, but it's clear that there's inspiration behind these Pokemon, and they're not just slapping crap out and calling it something new. It actually feels like they're trying to develop the world and the inhabitants of it.
No, absolutely. And that's I think one of the things that I actually I'm kind of split on that with these new Pokemon, because I think that I think the designs and their inspirations are getting too specifically inspired, not inspired by a more general sense that you're trying to create a world of animals. But like, for example, Charjabug, the battery one, like its eyes are like, 80% full battery icons. Its body itself is a battery. Its fangs are kind of like plugs. Like, I just feel like a lot of the designs are extremely creative and inspired, and they're really interesting and unique ways to take the ideas that they're thinking of for specific Pokemons, incorporating their types, and fitting them within this sort of system of, especially of competitive battle, because I think they're taking a lot of interesting, like, metagame stuff, like the Pokemon's abilities and the way that they interact with each other. Like, for example, Charjabug and Vikavolt, if you have them in a double battle, Charjabug can, like, supply Vikavolt with extra energy. I mean, like, so if you're kind of losing track of what I'm saying, that is kind of my point. There's just so much that they're doing with these Pokemon all at the same time. I feel like they're doing it all really, really well, but they're just doing way too much, and that's where it loses me. Like, what I like is the more, Grimer is a pile of sludge, it's poison type, it's gross, it smells bad. That's the kind of thing I like. I don't, as much as I appreciate the creative inspirations, I don't think that they're making a world that is as much like our own as it is like a competitive battle come to life. Does that make sense?
So maybe to distill what you're saying, you think these new designs are kind of too busy, and so as a result they don't feel like they're authentic creatures living in an authentic world?
Yeah. Well said, Alex.
It's my job.
So you mentioned new abilities and competitive purposes and things like that, and one of the things I'm most excited about is that Salandit's ability is that it can poison anything, including other poison types and steel types. So I think that's going to be used as a major, if it doesn't have crap stats when it evolves, I think it'll be used as a wall breaker competitively, something that can come in and just, you're a steel wall? Not anymore, you're poison.
And it's a fire type, so...
Yeah, it could also potentially have the ability to spread burns as well.
Oh, interesting. I know people have been talking about the poison fire dual type, how it can just get wrecked by ground type moves. I wonder though if it's going to evolve into something that, for example, has like really high defense, so that ground isn't as much of a problem. Obviously we're going to have to see, but I think it could be interesting the way that they sort of balance that in the metagame.
Yeah.
Riding Pokemon is back. Do we think that that's gonna have anything to do with more than just hopping on a Rhydon for a few feet? Or
I certainly hope so. We've talked in previous episodes about how I felt like Pokemon X and Y were sort of a half step in the right direction, and that Sun and Moon are really evolving on that basic formula set up and improving on it, making it better, making it feel more like they're actually accomplishing the sort of things they want to do with their gameplay. So I'm hopeful that means that they introduced riding in X and Y and people really liked it, people thought it was really cool, but they didn't really do much with it. So I'm hoping that's another thing where they take it up to the next level with Sun and Moon.
Agreed. That seems like it's it. One thing I remember I wanted to say was I do think that, so Alex, you distilled my point pretty nicely. They don't feel like authentic creatures living in an authentic world. But I noticed there are a lot of like older Pokemon designs, those screenshots show off Pichu and Psyduck and Zubat. So I think this may be one of the first games that I dislike these new designs enough that I don't really want to use them. In games like Black and White, I wasn't really too fond of those designs, but I still planned my team around, I came to really like, for example, Galvantula and Wargle. But this time around, I think I may just kick back, enjoy the Pokemon that I like, build a team out of Pokemon that I like for once, rather than, a strategically sort of sculpted team of 6. Which could be interesting. It could change up the way I play Pokemon. We'll see how it goes, because I like Sun and Moon.
If the NPC teams are composed correctly and the AI is decent enough, you might even get an enjoyment out of fighting them and not necessarily using them. So you could still enjoy them that way.
Just so I can enjoy seeing everything I hate and beating it to a pulp.
Yeah, sure. That's how we'll see it.
Sure.
It came out of your mouth, not mine.
But yeah.
Don't abuse animals, kids.
Hello everybody, thank you for listening to this Nintendo Week clip, NWC. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us here on YouTube for more highlights and discussion videos from Nintendo Week podcast, or subscribe to us on iTunes for weekly breakdowns of all your Nintendo news, discussion segments on subjects, games, and more, and tons of other features. Thanks for listening, and we will see you tomorrow with another NWC.